Welcome to the Hair Metal Rules Podcast, where we celebrate all things 80s hair and glam rock. Join us as we dive into the world of spandex, big hair, and killer guitar solos with your host, Big J. From iconic bands like Motley Crue and Def Leppard to the lesser-known gems of the era like Lillian Axe and Babylon AD, we cover them all. So grab your hairspray and leather pants because it's time to rock out with the Hair Metal Rules Podcast. Hi everyone, it's great to be back with another exciting episode of the podcast. I'm thrilled to have a very special guest joining us today, and I know you're all going to enjoy it. Hey, how about that killer show theme provided by Tom Tracy Music? Hey Tom, if you're listening, just know how appreciative I am of you and the show theme, and the podcast would not be the same without it. I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I just want to take a moment and thank the listeners who have tuned in. Your support means the world to me. Today we've got a special episode lined up for you all. I have a guest with an unusual family bloodline that ties him into the rock and glam metal scene we all love. I'm very excited to have Mr. Justin Sayne joining us today. Justin is the guitar player and songwriter of the band Cruella D'Vil. Hey Justin, welcome to the Hair Metal Rules Podcast.
Jeremy, awesome to be on here with you. I love your new podcast, and your IG page is off the fucking chain, fucking rad. So love it. Yeah, it's badass.
I appreciate it. I just try to sit here and, like today when I had some idle time, I just tried to think of videos to record and cut just like the choruses of them, because that's really after, if it's too long you lose people's attention. So,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I noticed that. I noticed that you do put in like the hooks of the songs. And your music selection it's badass. It's like the best of the best. Some of the bands that you can put on are bands that I even forgot, and a couple of them, here and there, I never even heard of, to be honest with you. So I'm like, I'm like, wow, I'm blown away. I'm like, looks like a band that I would love. Sounds like a band that I would love, but for some reason I never heard of it.
Well, my thing was in high school, I read Metal Edge and Rip magazine, and you would see a little ad in there, coming soon to Columbia Records, Heaven's Edge or Bo Nasty, or those are the bands I kind of always migrated to instead of the mainstream. So I got a lot of them up here for 52 years. So
54 years next mid-July. So holy shit, where's the time?
Where's
the time going?
I didn't think you were that
I hear 30s all the time. So
hey, that's
good bloodlines. I took care of myself for the most part. In the 20s and 30s I drank a lot, just because during playing shows and whatnot. But 40s on, I didn't really drink as much, and I stayed fit and just took care of myself. So plus I'm a vampire at another age anyway, so I don't have to worry about that. But still,
I understand you have some famous relatives you like.
I do. So let me tell you the backstory. I was born in Columbus, Ohio, and my first vivid memory that I remember, I was 5 years old, and I had an older cousin. Usually with people, they get into music because they had like an older sibling or older relative that listened to a certain type of music. Well, in my case, my first influence is I had an older cousin, and they lived about 45 minutes away from us. And on the weekends, my mom and I would, when my dad was still alive, we would drive down the south end of Columbus and we would visit him. And my older cousin Joby, he had the raddest hair, the most bitchin' record collection, the biggest fucking stereo in his bedroom. And I'm like literally 5 years old. And he says, "Justin, check out this band." It was Kiss. It's probably the first record, or second record. I remember, the first record. I remember Kiss Alive. You open that thing up and it was like, holy shit, who are these guys? And he would put it on, crank it up, and I'm like, man, this is cool. And they were just I don't know. I'd never seen anything like that before. My dad was into what's now considered like classic rock, like Queen, Bad Company, Eagles. My mom was into disco. And so I heard a little bit of that, growing up when I was little. But then when you hear Kiss, and especially when you see Kiss and you see Gene Simmons and all that blood and stuff, I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. And he's like, Justin, I'm going to take this one step further. I'm going to give you a magazine, and our Uncle Larry publishes this magazine. I'm like looking at it, open up the pages, and there were nude women in it. And he loves to tell the story that I took the magazine. Like I said, I was 5 years old, took the magazine in the bathroom. Of course, I didn't do what you think I'm going to do. Went in the bathroom, all of a sudden he hears me say 1, 2, 3, 4. I was counting. I was counting the upper parts
right.
of the women.
Yes.
And that was Hustler magazine. And Larry at the time, he started off, owning clubs. He wanted to promote the clubs, so he wrote the newsletters to promote the girls that were in the clubs. And the newsletter took off, and it turned into a full-blown magazine. So I had rock and roll and Hustlers to grow up on.
That's a pretty good combination.
Yeah, I was screwed up since I was still in diapers.
Right.
And that's like the first really the first memories that I have of rock and roll. And so Kiss turned into Ted Nugent. Again, pretty bad influences. He would jump all over amps and with his loincloth, and he was just a madman. From there, turned on to the Bon Scott era of AC/DC, and just the raw power and grit. It just the raw energy of that band was just so badass. So man, this rock and roll thing is pretty cool. And again, this is maybe 76, 77. So all this stuff is very, very new. And then yeah, that's pretty much the first time I was bitten by the rock and roll bug, as you may say. So yeah, very best and very worst of influences.
I kind of have the same thing in common with you, because I was telling my wife last night, when I was probably about 6 or 7, I stayed with my aunt. She had a son that was in high school. And Steve had a fake Gibson Les Paul, a copy Gibson Les Paul. And he listened to the first Boston record and listened to the Kiss Alive record.
Okay.
And he would play it for a while and lift the needle up, and he would learn the chords and learn the music. And that was my first introduction. Kiss was the first rock and roll band. And just listen, I would sit on the bed and listen to Steve play, anything off that album. He was really good hearing it and being able to play it. I can't play guitar, so I wish I knew how to play, so
it is a gift. I mean, there are certain things that you can learn from a guitar teacher, but it's almost like I don't know, it's just like an instinct, or it's just something. It's a gift. And Eddie Van Halen used to say all the time, music is a gift, and to be able to learn it just by listening to it and figure out where the notes are. In my case, I had a guitar teacher, basically teach me, how notes make chords, and how chords, you can, go up and down the fretboard, and that's the song. But yeah, it's pretty cool that you had a buddy of yours that, would play along with Kiss records. That's how you start, man.
I can play a mean air guitar, but I can't play a real guitar. So I guess that counts in some way.
Yeah. So that's what I was doing. I was playing air guitar, as 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. I was sitting there playing air guitar. In 1978, after my Uncle Larry was shot, they were living here in Columbus, which, if you watch the movie, you would think that they lived down in Cincinnati, but they didn't. They lived here in Columbus. 1978, after he was shot, they needed to move somewhere where their business was more acceptable. So they moved out to Los Angeles, the West Coast. And I just remember, hearing all these stories about, what California was like, and, it's sunny, 340 days out of the year. And, the other days it might be a little cool, but it hardly ever rains, and it's beautiful. And, there's all the sorts of, beautiful people out there. When I was I think it was about 10 years old, is when they flew my mom and I out for the very first time. And if you grew up in a small town in Ohio, and then all of a sudden you go to Los Angeles, California, it is a shock to the system that you cannot comprehend. You cannot read it's not in a book, it's not in a movie. You land, you got palm trees, you got sunny skies, it's 80 degrees, beautiful people. You got the Pacific Ocean, all these huge mansions and huge houses, and all of a sudden a limo picks you up from the airport and it's going to take you to an even bigger house than what you grew up in. And that house and those experiences seriously changed my life. And I have thanked Althea and I've thanked Larry, more than a few times. They're since both passed away, but I thank them both for giving me that opportunity just to see a completely different life.
So being that they were famous and you were around that atmosphere, you were in their home, what kind of famous people did you run across when you were younger?
Well, they made it a point to keep those people away.
I got you.
In the heyday, especially like in the late 70s and early 80s, especially when Larry ran for president in 1984, which is a complete fucking circus. We'll get to that later. They kept all those people away on purpose because they, what, we got family, in town. Just, my mom would only stay for maybe like a week or two. She would have to come back to Ohio for work. I would stay for months. So basically, whenever I wasn't in school, I was out there just swimming in the pool, just hanging around the house, driving Larry crazy with, taking the elevator. That house had three floors. So little Larry and I and cousin Teresa, who's one of Larry's daughters, we'd sit there, go up and down the elevator for just hours. Larry would come out and was like, "You got to get off that fucking elevator. You got to stop riding that elevator." It's like, all right, cool. So yeah, just hearing stories of what was going on when we weren't there, just mind blowing. I can't really. There's one thing in particular I can't really get into, but we heard that there was somebody that worked for Larry and Althea that had killed somebody, and it was in the house. Turns out it was true. I can't get into it. I seriously can't, because of safety, because this person is still alive. But we heard there was just, they had the oddest people at the house, like Frank Zappa, Dennis Hopper, and all sorts of just a mismatch of Indian medicine men, just a very eclectic mix of people that were at the house. In the basement, he had this big ass TV, huge ass couch, and he had these couple poker tables and a bar. And we had heard that when we weren't there, they would have these crazy card parties, and they would just play cards for 2 or 3 days. And I wish I'd gotten to see that, just to hang out with Dennis Hopper and Frank Zappa and just pick their brain, as a teenager. Would have been kind of weird. I probably would have asked them like really stupid questions. They're like not really able to comprehend what they did for a living. Dennis Hopper, he was an actor. Frank Zappa, he was a musician, but really they were all about, and Larry was all about, and Althea were all about the counterculture of life. And it sunk in here. It sunk in my head, and that's why I'm probably kind of odd, kind of against society's rules and the things that they, agendas that, that certain groups and people want to, push upon us. I'm like totally against that. I'm like, dude, keep your beliefs away from me. But just being in that house was pretty cool. They had, 7 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms. Larry and Althea's bedroom was like a fortress. The door was like 8 inches thick, with like a 6 code combination you need to get in. It was almost like a vault to get in there. It was kind of dark, but still, just a bitchin' house.
But what you described with the people that were there, I mean, that's typical 70s, mid 70s. You got, I mean, Frank Zappa hanging around. You got Indian gurus. I mean, that was just seemed like a typical thing in the 70s as far as how the generation was. It was a free-spirited generation. I mean, you did, drugs were just something that was like drinking a Coca-Cola. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that seems like a typical, anything I've ever seen about the 70s per se is pretty much what you're describing.
Yeah, there was, unfortunately there was drugs around, which is one reason why I never touched anything.
Right.
Was unfortunately because we watched Althea, dwindle away to under 90 pounds. And she later passed away, which, we can get into that later. But unfortunately, from watching her dwindle away to what she became, taught me what not to do.
So Althea
Unfortunately,
meant a lot to you because you've even texted me some stuff. Tell me
yeah,
tell me what her influence was on you as far as how you are a person now.
yeah. I would say, I didn't really have a favorite aunt. I had three aunts and an uncle. Um, I wouldn't say I have the favorite, but she was probably the most influential. She saw me as just a little kid that was playing air guitar like anytime. It's like 24/7. I'm sitting there playing air guitar, and she's like, Justin, you're gonna be a guitar player. And so in 1981, we went out there, summer of '81, came out there, and Althea's like, hey, I got some things for you in the blue bedroom. All the rooms were color coded,
Right.
and she's like, hey, I got some stuff for you in the blue bedroom. Like, okay. So I went there, and it had 5 guitars, an amp, and enough rock punk clothes to fit probably a 6-piece band.
Wow.
And just shirts with like spikes on the sleeves and like leather pants and spandex pants, which you laugh. But seeing that and just seeing all that and taking it all in, and it's like, yeah, you got a Gibson Flying B that's a collector's item, a Kramer bass, 2 acoustic guitars, an amp. That's it was just a small combo amp, but it was really loud. I pushed it. Um, all these clothes, it just made sense. And it was like, thank you, Althea, because this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Whether I make it a career or not, um, this is what I was meant to do for the rest of my life. And Althea, she saw me at a young age, just saw it. When she moved out to Los Angeles, she got into, eventually she got into the club scene. So she would see like, one of her favorite bands was the Cramps. And so she would go see the Cramps at like the country club, like in
Right.
Reseda. She took my cousin little Larry out to see him. He was like 10 years old. But yeah, she like she loved like the punk rock scene. Then she got into the metal once like the Motley Crues were playing the scene, and yeah,
Right.
Blackie Lawless. Once those artists were actually like local, they hadn't made the scene yet. She would go see all these musicians in the clubs, and so just oh my god, you have to check out my friends. They're in this band. They're called Motley Crue. They're gonna make it. And she'd give me cassettes. Like this is my friend Blackie. He's in a band called I think they were called Sister or something. They weren't
Sister.
well,
Yeah.
Wasp yet. But she's like, this is my I know this guy Blackie. He's really sexy. You have to check them out. So she like took me in like the punk rock and the metal, mashed it up together, stuffed it in my ear, and said, check this out. And it was just rad, awesome music. And it was such a good time at the scene because you had like you went from like like the kind of like the punk to new wave to all of a sudden metal like took over just like that. And you had like I said, like Nikki and Tommy and Vince and Blackie and all these guys. um Lizzie Gray, who formed London with Nikki. They were still running around the scene, and you help this the glitter glam rock, but mixed with like the metal and punk. And it was just a really exciting time. And as a young kid, I took this all in. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Awesome. Just to see all these bands with spiked up hair, leather, spandex, chains, just spikes, wristbands, and all that cool shit. And it was like, man, this is what's up. This is what's up.
Well,
So
if I could ever build a time machine, I would love to go back to maybe 1986. I'd love to walk the Sunset Strip one time. I would love
it
to
was,
walk in and out of these bars and see these guys really playing,
yeah.
see what the
And
vibe was.
they were so raw. And it was before before record companies got a hold of them and kind of made them commercialized to get them on the radio, to get them on KLOS and KMET and KNAC. KNAC was the most bitchin' radio scene. The best DJs, yeah, Tom Mastery, Long Fall, these just the best DJs in the world. Um, my first track was in 1984, and thank God for fake IDs. Thank God. I can't tell you who made them because this person's
Right.
still alive, and they're
Sure.
hey man, you can't give up your source. But um, I looked very much like a kid, but hey, it said I'm 18, and I got on some of these clubs and just the just the experience of seeing these bands, before they made it. But the coolest part, and this is kind of what stuck with me, was just walking up and down the strip. You'd have all these bands that were hustling and grinding, handing you flyers with free tickets to a show at the Troubadour, free tickets to the show at the Whiskey, stapled to it. And, hey, come check out my band. I'd look at the band like, man, you guys look like Kiss.
Yeah.
If I can, I'm definitely going to check it out. I would go back to Larry and Althea's with a stack full of flyers. Some of the bands look cool. Actually, most of them look cool. Some of them, whatever. Kind of, So I throw those away, but I keep the ones, from the bands that actually look the coolest. We would have BAM. Later, he had Screamer, Rock City News, all these like local newspaper things that would promote all the bands that were playing the scene. It's just full page ads. All the bands look just teased hair, just beautiful people, just kicking ass on the scene. And that's where I learned how to market, hustle, and promote, specifically promote. You make flyers. I loved making flyers, and I loved going out, passing out flyers to pretty much anybody. Paste them on anything that didn't move. Right. Which a band would come in and cover that up. I'd come back later, put mine up after that was. I loved the hustle and I loved the process, and I think again, this is Larry and Althea's influence. Because they were, they pushed the boundaries. They were hustlers, themselves.
Right.
Just keep grinding. Things will happen. And that I learned it right on the Sunset Strip in the mid '80s. That's where I learned the hustle.
But it was funny. You mentioned the trade magazines. The place I worked at years ago, there was a guy that worked in the maintenance department, and I was listening to Vane, I believe it was, in my office. I was doing engineering work. And he said, "You actually know who those guys are?" I was like, "Yeah, this is just like one of my favorite bands." And he's like,
"Yeah,
I'll bring you something tomorrow." I said, "Okay." So he brought this box, and he had photo albums in there, pictures and pictures. He was a roadie at the Whiskey A Go Go.
Okay.
His name was Troy. I can't remember his last name, but anyway, I was thumbing through pictures. I said, "Well, there's Doug Aldrich from Lion." I said, "There's Kelly Hansen from Hurricane." He's like, "How do you know all these guys?" I said, "Wait, I listened to it." And he had those magazines. That was my first experience. The BAM, he had BAMs. That was my first experience seeing those trade magazines. And a lot of those people, I never knew what they looked like, because you had like Paradise and you had Paradise, and you had some of the guys that started out as Warrant, but they were in, two of them were in another band, and you had Janie Lane over here. It was interesting because I something was like, there's Janie Lane right there. There's Eric Turner over here. And it's amazing how you had Guns N' Roses, but you had LA Guns, and they were together at one point in time. But then they made two great bands when they left one another. It's interesting seeing them in the flyers, the captions you were talking about, all hair all teased. I remember seeing one. It was for Warrant where the Down Boys go, and all of them were standing up in a bathroom stall, meaning there was a girl in there.
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
But Janie Lane was on his knees. He was the only one on his knees looking out from up under the bathroom stall. It was just cool seeing that kind of stuff,
Yeah, it's that, Janie and Warrant were like, if you go back and watch, you look, and if you can find some of their older flyers and older like full page ads, they were filled with sexual innuendo. And then, again, that's sunk into my fucking head. And sex sells, but it was just awesome to see, a band again kind of push the boundaries of what is, kind of not really acceptable, but just pushing the boundaries. They would have, you would have all the guys standing up. You'd have girls on their knees in front of them, facing away from the camera, so you basically see their backside, and but the guys be standing there, with their like American flags behind them, and it was I remember some of the some of the Warren stuff, like LA's #1 muff diving team, and melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
Yes.
Type.
But I mean, they were one was trying to climb over the other one's back to get somewhere. So you wanted to make it as, like you said, as extreme as you possibly could get away with without getting, I guess, in trouble.
Yeah. And we we, and when I say we, I mean, bands in the 80s, as far as the scene and social boundaries, I have to be careful because I don't want to get you censored, but we got away with so much that
Sure.
it's criminal. You definitely could not do that nowadays. And but because society was different, just a different scene. More was acceptable. There was not as many cameras, not as many prying
Right.
eyes. This is
Yeah.
before the paparazzi of the 90s came in. There wasn't Led Zeppelin behaved so badly at the Rainbow. Mario had to ban cameras inside the Rainbow for years because people were coming in taking pictures of Led Zeppelin with their groupies that were not their girlfriends, not their wives. These pictures would get back to the wives, and Mario and the Rainbow were very protective of the artists, especially Led Zeppelin. And like, what? Any cameras or any video, anything that's going to record anything has to be cleared by management. And so for years, you couldn't take anything of and the Rainbow unless it was cleared by Mario or Blue or whoever's running the place at the time. But yeah, just because there was less cameras, we got away with so much.
Sure.
It's just bad. It's just really bad.
Who did you who were some of the bands that you hung around or you knew back in the mid 80s?
Yeah. I would say the biggest one was London. Althea knew Nader and Lizzie really well, especially Nader. And Nader and I have talked several times, but I've met him, and this is years later because again I was separated on purpose. Whenever Larry was thrown in jail, which is quite often, Althea was at the house by herself, so Nader would stay with her for a while just to keep her company and whatnot. Yeah, 86, I think that was when the Don't Cry Wolf album, cassette.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, cassette.
Yes, yes.
I got that. Althea gave that to me, and I think my cousin Teresa, they kind of both gave it to me. Hey, this is Althea's friend Nader. He's that guy right in the middle, the long black hair, just looking and bitching. And I was like, that's cool. Hopefully, maybe one of these days I'll get to meet him. And so, hearing about Nader and Althea's friendship was awesome. Hearing about the stories that when Althea would go out to the clubs, particularly like the Rainbow, and she would see the guys in Motley just run around the strip and say, hey, if you guys want to come back to the house and party, we've got booze, girls, whatever you guys want, just come back to the house. And like hell yeah. So they would come back to the house and they would stay for a little bit longer than what they had intended, but that's cool. Eventually, okay, you guys got to go home now. I don't know. I just musicians that I probably didn't know at the time, but that made it. That I would see walking around the strip, and I remember I saw as far as unsigned artists, I remember seeing Salty Dog at the Troubadour. Mm-hmm. I don't know what year this was, and I remember. Turns out that Michael Hannon, the bass player, was from Columbus.
Okay,
it's a long story, but I remember seeing this. This thing behind the amps or something, somewhere around the amps behind the drum-wiser, it said Salty Fucking Dog. And the band was cool. Just, they weren't as raw as the album was, but they were still very, very bluesy.
Yeah, they were very
and
bluesy,
so very, just alcohol-soaked guitars. And they just had the slide. Guitar player was phenomenal. So I remember I came back to Ohio, and my mom let me in our laundry room. She let me become an artist, and she would literally let me draw like all these band logos and stuff and all sorts of vulgar stuff that she like just keep the door closed. People normal people would come in and get offended by it. I remember coming home from a vacation out there. I remember just writing Salty Fucking Dog just because I just thought it was really cool. And then a couple years later their album comes out, and it's fucking awesome. It's like, oh yeah, I saw these guys at the Troubadour. This is killer. God, one of my favorite shows I think it was sometime in '88, so it had been like later in '88. LA Guns were on tour with their first album, and they were playing at a place called the Waters Club, which is in San Pedro. And I wanted to go because I was a huge fan, but also because this band that I had heard so much about was opening up for them, Warrant.
Wow.
They were unsigned at this time, and I swear to God, Jeremy, I was that place maybe held maybe 800-900 people at most. I was one of 5 guys in that building. The rest of it were chicks.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, unreal. And yeah, and you know, later after that show, Warren got signed and it became the the mega artist that they were. But that was such a rad show, and I don't know how I did, but I actually have a guitar pick from Tracy and a guitar pick from Eric that
Wow.
I either caught or found on the floor, and I took them
Yeah.
home, and I still have them. They're in my scrapbook. But yeah,
That's
that was a
awesome.
killer show just to see LA Guns as the Hollywood Vampires, just all fucking black, Warrant and very glam,
Oh yeah,
you know,
they had
just
the tassels and the yeah
yeah,
sequins and all that stuff. Yeah, so
yeah, just
it's fun.
they had an endorsement with BC Rich. All the guitars were they had like beautiful graphics and all that stuff. Like they just looked cool, and yeah, just put on a really good show. And again, that was kind of they were loud, heavier than kind of what I was expecting. Just because again, when you're playing live, you can do whatever you want
Sure.
before the record executives come in there and kind of tighten up the sound and get your radio ready. Just really good show. LA Guns,
Yeah,
badass.
Guns is great.
That
That
was
first LA
awesome.
Guns album
Awesome.
is one of my favorite. The first
Oh,
one. Yeah,
yeah,
that thing was
phenomenal.
great. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
It's funny you mentioned DePriest. Tomorrow, actually, one of my posts is DePriest. I can't remember the song, but
Okay.
it's like they're in an Indian tribe. The video. I
Yep.
don't know if you've ever
It's
seen it before.
crap. It's on the Priest album.
He's got a long black coat on. He's got long
Yeah,
black hair. Yeah, I'm posting that tomorrow.
yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah, that's a badass. It's weird because Nader, he's not Native American. He was born in Mexicali, so he's Hispanic and American. But yeah, it was kind of I remember that video. They're like riding a horse and they're like,
yeah, yeah,
Nader, you're not Native.
yeah.
You're not Native. You're Hispanic.
And
But whatever.
Salty Dog. When I was one of those that I saw him in a magazine,
Yep.
so I bought the cassette tape. And the
Yep.
first song, "Sweet Little Baby, She's My Hot Dog Bun." How
Yeah.
great is that? Come Along is just a song that you can't
Yeah.
not like it.
Yeah. The probably my favorite song on that album is Heave Hard. She Comes Easy.
Yes, yes, that's great.
That's a great. I mean, that's a great fucking. That's badass, man. That's
I'd love
badass.
I'd love to have all those on vinyl, but unfortunately, I can't afford that. But the good thing about
Yeah.
iTunes is, you can still listen to the music or Spotify.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I just
um,
run like just YouTube. Oh, and another show, and this is probably what actually made me want to be a musician. This is very important. This night changed my life. You've seen the movie Decline of Western
yes,
Civilization, Metal Years.
yes,
August 14th, 1987. My cousin Teresa was going to high school with a guitar player in one of the opening bands. It's like, hey, we're gonna go to the Roxy. It was like a Friday, Saturday night, something. She's like, hey, we're gonna go to the Roxy. We're gonna go see my friend Kevin. His band's opening up. Odin.
Odin, right?
We saw Odin, Randy, full assless chaps, right in my fucking
Yes,
because I wanted to be up close. I wanted to see this. Because Odin had like a huge following. They were like, Bill always said they're like the next big thing. Randy's going to be the next David Lee Roth. But yeah, I was up close. I saw, yeah, Randy's ass right in my face. Assless chaps is kicking ass. They were. Their set was just like it was in that movie. They had like the white blinds with the flowers coming out. Yeah, that was just a killer night. Um, so my cousin Teresa, she was going to high school with the guy Kevin. His name's Kevin Rentgen, and he's a really talented musician. I actually follow him on Instagram and Facebook. You should check him out. It's just really good. He's mellowed out. He lives in Nashville. I'll give you his information. It's just really cool. So after the show, Teresa said, "Hey, we're going to go back to Kevin's for a party after the show." Kick ass! My first Hollywood after show party.
right. Wow.
I had just turned 17, and unfortunately, that past June, we had lost Althea.
Right.
So it was kind of bittersweet that I couldn't share it with her, but she was with me.
Sure, she
She
was.
was she was
Yes,
she was with me.
most
So I
definitely.
remember going to Kevin's house and all these older people. Like I said, I just turned 17. I didn't fucking idiot. And all these people were partying and stuff. And I remember sitting down on the floor with my back up against the wall, and their stereo was like right next to me. And they started playing AC/DC, the Highway to Hell album. And I'm like, just taking it all in, just watching all these people party. I'm like, one of these days I will be the partier.
Right.
And so Kevin comes up. I'm like, dude, he's just long blonde hair, just gorgeous. I was like, Kevin, you guys are huge AC/DC fans? He's like, hell yeah, we are. Just just playing that Highway to Hell. I'm just playing the shit out of it. I just took it in. I'm like, dude, this is fucking awesome. And I'm like, man, I can't wait to graduate high school and just to be in bands and be able to experience this as a guitar player instead of a fan. I can't wait to do this. But yeah, that night, August 14th, 1987, changed my life. I'm forever grateful for everybody that made that happen for me. It was a great night.
The thing about Decline of Western Civilization, I've probably seen it 3 or 4 times, and you're talking about Odin, and he's sitting in the swimming pool drinking beer,
Yep.
and he says,
Yep.
"I'm going to be famous."
Yeah.
I hate that didn't never really truly happen like he thought it would. I mean, he was in Lost Boys. That wasn't too bad of a band. I posted one of their videos, but the guys that were in there, even Seduce never made it huge.
Yeah.
The 3-piece band that they never made. He was riding around in the car. They were never huge. I saw them in the back of a magazine and bought their tape for $5. The very first one. So, but that was a great movie to show what I always wondered what it looked like, what it was like. So that's a classic movie right there.
Yeah, thank God for Penelope Spheres for actually getting that documented, because we didn't have cameras and we didn't have all that stuff to kind of document it. But yeah, there's, especially when they focus in on Gazzari's. I'm forever grateful. I unfortunately didn't really get to meet Bill, but I kind of crossed paths with him, and he was just kind of like I don't know, just a dude that just looked kind of, I don't know. It was like, hey man, that's the guy on the front of the building. He must own this place, and he just like, hey, he had the Godfather kind of look, and just I'm like, well, this is different. Again, 16 years old, you're not aware.
No,
you're not aware. But yeah, that place was fucking awesome. Just really good memories. But in that documentary, you see people like walking up and down strip bands, passing out flyers.
That's the only thing you see. That's the only. Other than I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube that somebody actually had a camcorder and it is walking up and down the Sunset Strip, and they're all out there handing out flyers. But that gives you an idea. That's why I wished I want to experience it one time. I think that would just be just so cool to have some flyers. Yeah, give me a flyer. Because I would take every one they handed to me.
Oh, I did.
Yeah,
I did. It was. I mean, it was such a good time. Again, just very fortunate, very grateful that I was able to experience this. And it's so rare. I mean, you can't really put into words what it was like, and I can only imagine what it was like to be in a band playing the scene. Having to hustle, having to the pay for play, all that garbage. But still, just being able to as a teenage fan who wasn't drinking yet, to remember I wasn't wasted. So I remember all this stuff, and it's sunk in, and just watching all these people just having the best time of their lives. And we thought it was going to be forever. We thought it was this is the way that it's going to be. The 90s came in and changed things. The LAPD came in and kind of cleaned things up a lot, which we fucking hated, but it was what it was. But I'm just very, very fortunate, grateful, humbled that I got to experience, because there were so many people that loved the music that couldn't. And I'm so fucking lucky that I got to see this. And that's why I'm so emotional, because there's so many people that didn't get to see it, that like you, that just want to go out there just one night and experience it. And it changed my life.
Well, you got lots of great memories of it. And that's the good thing about experiences in life. I mean, whether good or bad, you're gonna have a bad experience and you're gonna have a bad memory, but it taught you something. But the good memories are the ones when you you're having a bad day. You're like, yeah, I remember such and such on the Sunset Strip. It kind of makes
Yeah.
things better,
Yeah. I mean, songs become memories, and you hear every time I hear like an Odin song, like 12 o'clock high, um, or even like a Lost Boys song. That band was fucking awesome. I love that band. Can I tell you a quick story
Sure, you go
about
right ahead.
okay,
Yes.
about Lost Boys? So again, Lost Boys were kind of like the what happened to Odin after Odin. So for those who don't know, Lost Boys had Randy and Jeff, who was a singer and guitar player, and three other guys. And the bass player, his name is James Tavis. Years later, I think it was like '94, went to go see Phil Lewis was just playing a solo gig. I think here in Ohio. And cool, it was a cool show. I mean, he played, LA Gun stuff, played some solo stuff. It was, it was a cool night. I was basically there just promote my fucking band. That's what we did. But I heard somebody say this, and this is just a fate thing. Somebody said, "Hey, that's James Tavis playing bass for Phil Lewis's band." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, why does that name sound familiar?" Going through my mental Rolodex, that's why. If you look into the Lost Boys credits, my cousin Teresa is thanked in there.
Okay.
And I'm like, "Huh, wonder why." Maybe James knows. So after the show, I'm like, "Hey, James, my name is Justin, and you guys played a great show. Whether you guys kicked ass. When you were in Lost Boys, you guys thanked my cousin Teresa in the album. Like, who in the band knew Teresa? Maybe it was Randy. It was James. It's like, oh yeah, Teresa and I used to be roommates for like a couple of years. And so again, that's just a fate thing. And Teresa is my cousin, one of Larry's daughters, but she's like a sister to me. She's made so much happen for me. Whenever I was in the scene, she was always with me.
Right.
And I mean, she's still alive. I'm emotional because she just means so much to me. But yeah, she was like, yeah, Teresa was my roommate for a couple of years, and she helped me with so much, and just helping the band out, and helping me out, just gave me a place to stay and this and that. It's like, dude, that's fucking awesome. Teresa's my cousin, shared the story. So somewhere in my scrapbook, I'm pretty sure I don't have any pictures. I didn't have a camera, but I'm pretty sure I have his autographs somewhere in there. There's so many autographs that I have that I don't know what the fuck they are.
Wow, that's awesome.
But yeah, that was just a weird thing. I'm like, yeah, James Tavis and my cousin Teresa were roommates for 2 years, and all of a sudden I see him on stage and we get to share stories. Just those random run-ins that I've had all my life. It's just like, again, very fortunate, very fucking lucky to have been here.
Why do you think glam metal and rock resonate in today's time? Why do you think it's still relevant and popular? Because it's still very popular.
It is. I would say because the fans of that genre of music are so passionate, because it represents not only the best times of our life, but it represents great fun times where we didn't have cares in the world. I mean, yeah, we had bills and shit like that, but this is before any of us had kids, and we before we were married, and had that life, which is cool. But we were so free, and we were like vampires. We were like pirates. We did whatever we wanted, and it just represents such a really good time. And it's just the music was just so fun. And it wasn't, aside from Queensryche and like Pink Floyd, it wasn't political.
Right.
It was just about having a good time. And I believe that people still want to have a good time. It's just the kind of like the world around them is kind of bringing them down, and the music just isn't what it is, and they're not getting what they want.
Right.
And so they go back to Guns N' Roses, Appetite, and they go back to the first LA Guns. They go back to Rat, Alice Eller, or go back to those albums, just because it's kick-ass music, just really well written music, well produced, rock and roll. It was just represented some of the best times of our life.
Yeah, it takes you back. Mine takes me back to high school, even beyond high school. I talked on one of the podcasts. There was a little place in Fayetteville, North Carolina, near the Army base, little bitty place called the Flaming Mug.
Yep.
And all of these bands played there. You walked in there, they had a wall and they had all signed that wall. And I would love to
Yep.
know what happened to that wall. Somebody probably painted over it because it's still there.
Yeah.
It's a country club now, country music
Oh
place
man.
now. But
That
I
sucks.
mean, we walked in there and saw Cold Sweat and
Yep.
Sabotage, and they came out
Yep.
and shot pool with us. It's just so neat.
Which you know who's from Fayetteville in Cold Sweat?
Yes, Roy Cathy.
Rory Cathy. Yeah.
Yeah.
An odd, and again, this is an odd run in. It was like 88. I was on spring break, still like junior year of high school. We went to Myrtle Beach and ran into this chick that told me about, hey, my friend Rory Cathy is in a really cool band with Mark Ferrari, who used to be in Kiel. They're called Cold Sweat. They're getting ready to come out. You need to check them out. And I'm like, all right. So I get back home, find it. It kicked ass. I'm like, holy shit, that's the guy. That's the guy that she was talking about. Like, yeah, yeah, she knew him from Fayetteville.
But they had
Badass.
just that album, their album had just came out, and that's what they were playing. And yeah, Roy, I've talked to him a couple of times. I've seen him at the Rock and Pod Expo. He's just the nicest fella. He started out in a band called Gibraltar.
Okay.
And they just one of those up and down the East Coast kind of things. And then he was in Sweating Bullets.
Okay.
In Hollywood.
Really?
Yeah, they were called Sweating Bullets, and it was about
okay.
a third of Cold Sweat. Mark Ferrari was still in Kiel.
Yeah.
So there was 3 of them there, and evidently Ferrari got in there, and Eric Gammons, the guitar player, got in there. He was in another band. Then it was Sweating Bullets. So the Sweating Bullets turned to Cold Sweat.
Oh wow!
So, and Cold Sweat and Sabotage were playing there, and the Crown Coliseum, which was about 10 miles away, Queensryche and Metallica were playing. So we got ready to leave, and Queensryche and Metallica's tour buses came in there. So they all came off the tour bus and went inside, and the 2 of them played after Cold Sweat and Sabotage.
Oh wow,
so pretty cool.
That is awesome. It's pretty cool when you have bands like huge bands that playing arenas. The show is done by 10. What do? Well, if you're like Guns N' Roses or Motley Crue, you go to a strip club. But musicians would go to a club just to hang out, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, Het and Lars are up on stage, playing I don't know, like a Misfits or like or a Motorhead song with a local band that's shitting bricks. It's like, oh, holy fuck.
We paid $7.50 to get in, and we saw 4 bands. 2 we didn't know we were going to see.
Yeah.
And Sabotage, that was during Gutter Ballet.
Okay. Yep.
That was what they were playing at the time. And of course, Cold Sweat just goes out there and they're just hard, pedal to the metal. They kick Sabotage all over that little old bitty room by the time they were through. And I think that's just that's great. That's great to me when the opening act kicks the main attraction's rear end, and that's what makes it all good.
As a musician in a lot of band, I was able to open up for a lot of pretty good amount of my favorite band, like not like the Motley Crues, not like Metallica's, but not Guns N' Roses, but like the level below those. I've been in bands that have been fortunate enough to open up for a lot of those bands. Doc and LA Guns. We played we actually opened up for. I was in my previous band. We actually opened up for Poison on a side stage at an amphitheater. That was fucking cool. I'm not a huge Poison fan, but it was a great opportunity. Lillian Axe. God, I would have to go through flyers and stuff to see if I kept a lot of the memories. That's when I started drinking. So a lot of the stuff I don't remember, but I remember, just seeing pictures after the fact. I'm like, oh, cool, we opened up for Doc, and oh, cool, we opened up for LA Guns a couple times. Cool, we opened up for this and that. I would hear later what I'd done, if that makes any sense.
Right. Lillian Axe is one of my bands from there. I actually drank coffee at Starbucks with Steve Blaze a few years ago. I was messing with him on Instagram, messaging him. He never would answer back. I just wanted to mail him something and just give him an autograph. Never would answer me back. So I said, "Hey Steve, show a little love," and that got him, because that was one of their songs. That got him. So he could send me his address. Well, my wife is from Louisiana, so we went to Mardi Gras. We went to Mardi Gras. And I told Steve, I said, coming to Mardi Gras, I sure would like to meet you. In the town that her
Yeah.
parents lived in, he lived in the next town over.
Okay.
So we walked in a restaurant when we first got there, and they were having a family dinner. And I walked past this man sitting there, and I told Eric, I said, "There's Steve Blaze right there." She's like,
Wow.
"Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's Steve Blaze." So he got up, and me like a 16-year-old girl, giddy, hi,
I can relate.
I jumped
I
up
can
and
relate.
I didn't run out the door. I followed him and I said, "Steve." And he turned around and said, "I'm the guy you've been talking to on Instagram." He's like,
Yeah.
great thing. I have my picture with him. He's like, "If you're going to be around tomorrow, meet me at Starbucks and I'll come
Okay.
bring you some stuff I've signed." So he came, and of course, me, I'm sitting here with my tongue stuck out and was a loss for words. So
Yep.
luckily my wife took over and she carried the conversation for me. But
Okay.
every
Yeah.
time they've played near, we saw them at M3 a few years ago. They played, and
Yep.
we saw him at the Rock in Nashville at the Keel Fest, and he's a nice guy. He'll always talk to us, and that I never dreamed I'd meet people like that.
Yeah. I don't know if I met him or not. I couldn't tell you. I know I was in bands open up for him twice on the Poetic Justice tour and Psycho Schizophrenic tour.
Okay.
And that was, when he had Stevie and Ron Taylor, John Sturr. I mean, that was like the classic lineup that just pummeled, kicked ass. They were so tight and so good. I mean, they were just, just good. And yeah, Ron Taylor was phenomenal. Just looked gorgeous. It's like, dude, that's fucking Ron Taylor. Stevie Blaze is just shredding. The rest of the guys are falling in line, just kicking ass. Like, yep, it's my fucking band.
Steve Blaze.
They were so fucking good. They were really, really underrated. They were phenomenal.
Just never made it big, but there was a lot of them out there that in my opinion should have been huge, but everybody looked like everybody.
Yeah.
And I got this book I've been reading, and there were so many of them they wanted copycats.
Yeah.
And then they wanted more copycats. And then the record labels like Cinderella's first album, Long Cold Winter, is what they wanted their first album to sound like. But being MTV and getting it out there, you got Night Songs instead of Long Cold Winter.
Yeah.
The sound. Because that's a very vast difference from Long Cold Winter to
huge.
Night
Huge.
Songs.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about Cruella D'Vil. What's the status of the band? What's your approach to songwriting with the band? What's going on right now?
Yep. So Cruella D'Vil, I started, I guess, conceived of in 2020, literally 2 weeks before COVID hit, shut everything down for 2 years. I guess I started it because I don't want to say this is my last hurrah. Again, I'm approaching mid-50s, but there's just so many things that in the music industry that I did wrong, and Cruella D'Vil is going to make it right.
I got
if it makes it or not, that's only you, the fans, can determine how far this goes. But I have notebooks and of things, notes and things that I've kind of learned throughout the years, what to do, what not to do, a lot about what not to do within the industry, how to do things, and it's going to be my getting even tour, basically. Getting even.
It's my time tour, right?
It is. It's not like a revenge thing, but it kind of is because oh God, who was it? There was somebody said that it's like I was never the chosen guy. It was Al Davis from the Raiders, and this is kind of I'm a huge Raiders fan. I definitely have the Raider mentality. Al Davis was never like the chosen guy. He was always the guy that was passed over for jobs, opportunities, head coaching job positions, general manager positions. He was always the guy that was like, we're gonna go in this direction. He's always passed up. He was like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna watch this. So he became the owner of a football team.
Right.
And he they say if you're not invited to the table, build your own.
Yes.
And so Cruella D'Vil is building my own table. I'm going to pick the guys that, and it's an in progress thing. Right now, I'm the only full-time member. I'm okay with that. I will find my guys.
Yes.
They probably don't live in Ohio, but I'll find them. I will scour the earth to find these fucking guys that are crazy enough, the outlaws, the misfits, the misunderstood, the overlooked, underappreciated underdogs, metalheads of the world. I will find them, and we're gonna kick some fucking ass. But until then, yeah, it's kind of about getting even. And my approach to songwriting is basically, take the coolest riffs that move you, that are catchy, write a song around them. I don't want to say be vulgar, but it's definitely going to kind of push the envelope lyrically with what people are used to nowadays. Especially when you find bands that all they do is scream. It's like, oh, I'm like, dude, what are you saying?
I know you
What's
can't
your message?
understand.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is my message. Oh, what? You're
Yeah.
angry? Okay, well, you go.
Got
You go
mommy
be
issues. What's
angry
going
over
on?
there. I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna party over here. I'm having a good fucking time.
Right.
Enjoy your life being fucking miserable. That's going to be the approach to Cruella D'Vil. Just really cool riffs, really good songwriting, really good solid production. I mean, anything you would hear on a fucking radio station, if not better. Um, I'm going to take my time at this. A lot of things that I've done in the past were kind of rushed, cutting corners here and there. That's definitely not going to be the approach to this project. I made contacts, through different venues, kind of regionally. There's 3 or 4 specifically here in Ohio. So I'm working with either the owners or the talent buyers, saying, hey, look out for this project called Cruella D'Vil. We're going to be sending you some music. We're going to be sending you an EPK. Here's the website. Check us out. We would love to play. I've been in contact, through Facebook with numerous bands, either regionally or throughout the country. Trading shows is still kind of like a thing. Like, so like for example, if there's a band in Detroit, they're looking for an opener for a band, that we're kind of compatible with.
Right.
Say, hey, if we come to play Detroit, you're going to come to Ohio. You'll open up for us. We'll open up for you in Detroit. We'll open up for you in your hometown.
Right.
So and so and so forth. Same thing, Chicago, Cincinnati, Cleveland, even Pittsburgh. You got to branch, start locally and branch out. I'm hustling. I'm constantly looking for venues and like, hey, who lives in Pittsburgh? Let me know, what venues, maybe 5, 6, topper venues that play like metal music that would be cool. Shoot me their info, shoot me their email. Let me see this place. Let me see what's going on with the scene. I'm hustling.
Well, if you get a gig, say you got a gig tomorrow,
okay.
How do you get a band together to go play it? Or do you have guys that will play with you? I mean,
the guys that are helping me are kind of like studio musicians. They're just normal. They're really talented musicians, but they're normal guys.
Yeah.
They have jobs, they have families. They're touring isn't their priority. They basically just want to help out musicians. Help me kind of get to the next level until I find they're more like bridge guys. Until I find somebody that's permanent. Really talented musicians, really talented drummer, a really good singer. Again, he's just a normal guy, but he's so fucking good that I just found online. The rest of it is pretty much myself. I'm doing all the writing, doing all the lyric writing. I'm great with music. I can write music in 10 minutes. Writing lyrics is a little bit of it's a lengthier process because I'm going through everything's kind of personal. So I'm kind of going through stuff might be in the past. So I'm kind of processing it, how to put that into a song other than I went to a bar last night. You have to say it in a form. It takes me a minute.
Well, how do you promote your band? I know you have Instagram, you have a web page. How else do you you're on YouTube? You got a lot of stuff on YouTube I've watched.
Yep.
What's your main way to promote Cruella D'Vil?
I found that Facebook is actually helping a lot. It's helping me, find musicians, really talented musicians, throughout the country. And again, like, hey, if you're in, say you're in Denver, Colorado, hey, I know of a venue I want to play there. Let me know when you guys are playing. If we can, we'll, if it's worth a while, not financially, but kind of has to be. If we can at least, pay our expenses, we'll go out there and we'll open up for you guys. yeah, Facebook has been a huge help. Instagram, has been a huge help. Everything's, I kind of let everybody know where everything is at is on the website. Cruella D'Vil, I'll spell it CRUELLADVIL.com. So it's spelled differently from the character. Everything's kind of there. The links to the Instagram pages, the links to the Facebook page. I haven't even have X, but now it used to be called Twitter.
Yes.
I'm new to it. I've only posted like one thing because I still need to learn how to navigate it. It's different.
It's different, yeah.
It is. It's I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go. We'll see. But yeah, everything is on. The debut single itself, the lyric video that I actually did myself. It took weeks to put that thing together, but it's so much fun. Yeah, a couple of those places I've been to, and yeah, it's a good time. But it's a lyric video, but there's a lot going on. It's not just like you don't see just a logo and lyrics.
Yeah,
you see different sites that I'll say,
right. Yes.
places that I've been to, and it's definitely it was a lot of fun putting that together. I had to be careful.
You did that yourself?
All myself. It took weeks, but I did it all myself, and just some pictures that I took, some pictures that I borrowed. But yeah, so much fun. It definitely represents the aesthetic and the sound of visually with the it's very colorful, very dark, heavy, loud, abrasive. I don't want to say obscene. It's not obscene, but it's definitely it's not tasteful, but it's just badass.
Suggestive.
Very, very. Yeah.
That's all right.
I have a lot of. I haven't done it much on my personal YouTube channel, but whenever I do episodes there, I usually talk about hey, the last one I did was when Coal Chamber announced their tour, which that's going to be fucking heavy. Yeah. It's going to be a very, very heavy fall when they go on tour. But yeah, I announced that. So before and after, I always say, hey, I'm a guitar player in band Cruella D'Vil. If you want to follow us, bam, there's the information in the description, all that good stuff. And that actually has helped. A lot of people are, dude, your single's fucking badass. Let me know where you guys are playing in the area. So that's actually helped.
That's
but
good.
Yeah, it's just being creative and just networking and just talking to people and Facebook has been huge. A lot of bands have reached out, like, dude, man, you guys are fucking kick ass. I've been on podcasts and stuff, and people are like, dude, you're fucking awesome. I love the way you look. Man, you look like you're a good time. Yeah, come check us out.
You talk like I thought you would. You
okay.
You look like what am I trying to say to you? You are what I thought you would be, because I've never nothing just you're a down to earth fella. You have
I am.
You have been around and seen a lot, and you have it,
probably too much.
You have it in you've learned from your mistakes that you've made in music over the years, and now you've got it in your head that I know all the wrongs, but now I'm gonna do all the rights.
Yeah, I'm gonna make
in my time.
Yeah, I'm gonna make the wrongs right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I've reached out. After I conceived Cruella D'Vil, I nationalized CDV. After I kind of conceived, I reached out to people, and they still didn't want to. I just want to be in this cover band. I'm happy doing this. Playing like every other weekend, playing just whatever. I mean, I respect them for that, but you're not gonna go on tour and open up for national bands playing in a cover band.
Right.
You're just not. I get a lot of people, on Instagram that hey, why don't you play this cover? I mean, I could, but it's like when I pick up a guitar, I write.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I mean, I might play like a Sex Pistols, song like Anarchy or No Feelings or something like that, or play just like a riff. But then I go into writing mode, and I have to be careful what I post there. So you'll hear my stuff eventually. The next 2 singles are coming out, later this summer, which are fucking badass. I'm really, really excited for. But yeah, I just don't. I'm very unconventional. I don't do what you would probably expect, especially after Eddie Van Halen passed away. You would see a million guitar players flood Instagram with playing, smiling, hey, look at me, I can do this. Dude, write a fucking song that kicks my ass. That's what I want to hear. And I'm not hearing it. All these guitar players are showing, they're doing gymnastics and stuff. Like when I hear their band, oh man, you need to work on your songwriting.
I see a lot of that. I see a lot of the guys. I always watch them because they're doing exactly what
Yeah.
you're saying. I always watch them.
Yeah.
It's you got a lot of Eddie Van Halen's out there. You got a lot of Yngwie Malmsteens out there.
Yeah.
But hey,
Yeah.
that was 40 years ago. People, you're not doing anything
Yeah.
that hadn't been done before.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, they're great players. I mean, I really respect them for. I mean, to sit there and do all that stuff and arpeggios.
Mhm.
I mean, it takes crazy talent and crazy. I mean, it's years and years of practice. I respect them for that. But I'm a musician. I'm a songwriter. I want to hear songs. I want to hear your band play songs. That's what I want. That's to me. That's what it's all about.
I totally.
I'm not
agree.
hearing. I don't. I don't want to go to a show and watch a guitar player go off for like 20 minutes. I came to watch. I want to hear some tunes that just knock my dick in the dirt. That's what I want to hear.
I agree.
Yeah. But I hear all the time, like, dude, you're such a humble person. You're down to earth, and again, that's from being grateful, lucky enough to experience what I have. I definitely don't take it for granted. I saw the good side. I saw the bad side of Hollywood. What it does to people. It'll eat you alive if you let it. If you're not careful and watch your ass. Unfortunately, my Aunt Althea, she got sick and passed away because she just didn't want to. She didn't want to deal with it. She was just stuck in her ways, and she was very stubborn. It wasn't, she wishes she would have stopped. That's one thing that people don't know is like she does regret starting drugs and not stopping, but there was no stopping her. She was just forward, just having a good time, just doing her thing. And
at the time,
we miss her. We miss her a lot.
I mean, at the time, you're doing what makes you happy, whether it's you understand what I'm saying. That was the time. That was the. And look at the. Look at the how she lived, and Larry Flint, and I mean that was a most people don't experience. No, people don't experience that kind of thing. People don't experience that kind of notoriety and all.
He was just a very, very driven person. When we would go visit him, I'd be out there for a couple months, and I would, 1984, I actually got to go into the offices. That was awesome. I met, a couple writers, and met one of the cartoon guys, Dwayne Tinsley, one of my favorite cartoonists for Hustler. I actually got to meet him. His wife Susan was there. They both passed away, but yeah, just to go to the office. Just again, it's just an experience that just life changing, life altering, and I'm so fucking lucky, man. Just so lucky. I don't know. But yeah, Larry was just really driven. He was all about, circulation and, just pushing boundaries as much as you can.
Right.
When Larry said, I don't want to do this, Althea was a person that said, Larry, you're going to do this. I don't care if you get in trouble. You need to take it 5 steps further than what you think you can do. They just, they pushed the bounds of society and, what was obscene, and they got so much trouble for it. Just every time the phone call, come in and like, oh God, what's going on now? Well, Larry's thrown in jail again. He's down in Georgia, for an obscene trial, and that's where he was shot. But yeah, he's just in so much trouble.
But seeing how he pushed himself, I think it influenced you, to push yourself to do and achieve what you want to achieve. That's a good thing.
Nobody.
The world we live in now, the younger generation that's out there now, they don't have really a drive to do anything.
No.
You know what I mean?
With social media, I mean, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can build a business, from the ground up, doing whatever you want, reach so many hundreds and thousands of millions of people doing whatever you love to do is possible. It's never been a better time to do whatever you want. And as a musician, the world is our oyster. I mean, you can start off, as a one-man band if you want, and all of a sudden you have a really cool underground following, which is what I'm going for. All of a sudden you have promoters knocking on your door and say, hey, I want Cruella D'Vil in Cincinnati. I want you guys to open up or whatever. I want you guys to play in here. I'm going to promote the shit out of this band, out of this show, and because we believe in you. And to hear promoters tell me that's fucking awesome.
Well, look how hard it was in the 80s. You had to pass out flyers to get fans. Now you just got to get on Instagram and you can reach 1 million people instead of maybe 100 on a street.
Yeah. But you know what? I miss that. I
Sure.
truly do.
Oh, yeah.
I miss going to fucking Kinko's and now whatever it's called. But yeah, going to Kinko's, taking a picture, doing the art, putting it together, going to Kinko's, say, hey, I need 1,000 of these in an hour because I got a show I got to promote. That was so much fun talking to people, passing out flyers. Hey, I'm in a band, this and that, whatever. Passing out, hey, we're playing next weekend. Come back. We're fucking awesome. Yeah, that was so much fun. Yeah, it's different now. You have a larger reach, but that personal experience, actually, having somebody right in front of you, giving them a flyer. Hey, I'm in the band. We're playing tomorrow night. Come check us out. That was the fucking best. That was the absolute best.
Well, Justin, tell people where they can find you online. Where can they, if they go on Facebook, where can they find Justin? Where can they find Cruella D'Vil?
Okay. Instagram. The handle is Cruella.D'Vil, DVIL .music. I have a personal page also. It's Justin Sayne, JUSTINSAYNE .music. I do more on the band side. So go check there. All the links are actually on the website because some of the stuff the handles names are different, especially the one for X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. They gave me some generic VIL, DVIL, 8 different numbers. I don't even remember. But everything, if you go to our website, CruellaDeville.com, CRUELLADVIL.com, videos there, the singles there, all the news is there. If you sign up, which is free, you actually get what I call like the CDV Vampires Club. You get videos as music's been written. You get videos as we're in the studio making music. You get videos of all sorts of stupid nonsense. Before anything is out, you guys get the news first. So that's fucking badass. It's free. It's just something I love to do. All the news is down there. We have some badass merch, which I need to send you a couple items that you'll greatly appreciate. That the towel, you'll never find that.
I saw that on there. I was like, that's pretty interesting right there.
Steel Pants. Considering a band like Steel Panther does not even have that.
I know, right?
Yeah, that says everything you need to know about Cruella D'Vil and how far we're willing to go, again, to push the boundaries of what is considered normal. We had badass merch there. Stickers just came in. Shirts were ordered. They're all sizes. We got 3 different styles of shirts. But yeah, on the bottom of the page is links to all the social media, the Facebook, the Instagram, the YouTube channel, which has the single on it, and X is on the bottom. All the links are down there. That's kind of like the one-stop shop. But yeah, Instagram has been very, very kind. Again, it's Cruella.Deville.music. And it's a good time. That's about the best way you can find us. But yeah, Facebook, that's been huge for us. Link is down the bottom of the website too.
Well, Justin, we've mastered. Go ahead.
There's one question that I wanted you to ask me because I'm curious about what you say. The last question. You're stuck on an island.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, but I didn't know if you wanted.
Dude, this is right my wheelhouse.
If you're stuck on an island, what 3 albums, a deserted island, what 3 albums must you have on the island?
Shit. All right. First one, Motley Crue, Fast for Love. Got to have that. My second, the 69 Eyes. Blessed Be, the very best of. You have to have that. And oh man, this third one's gonna be tough. Damn.
I can't believe you're not saying AC/DC.
Yeah, I have to throw that in there. AC/DC Highway to Hell. AC/DC Highway to Hell, just because it's so raw and powerful. I mean, great songs on it, top to bottom. There's no fillers on that fucking album at all. Yeah, AC/DC, Highway to Hell, Motley Crue, Too Fast for Love, and the 69 Eyes, Blessed Be, the very best of. And they've come out with some cool material since then, but yeah, that's got the best of the early stuff on it. Yeah, it's badass. That's my 3. What's your 3, Jeremy? kick my ass.
My three would be Operation Mindcrime,
Okay.
Queensryche. I can listen to that over and over again. Number
Yep.
two would be Parallels by Fate's Warning.
Okay.
You
You
ever
don't
heard
like
that?
No Exit? Yeah, you don't like No Exit?
I like No Exit. No Exit. No
Okay.
Exit heavier than Parallels, but I have listened to that thing so many times, and now I actually understand what the point he's trying to make in a lot of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yep.
You know, because they're pretty deep in some of their lyrics. So
Yeah.
I listened to it a lot, and now I understand. And my third one would be Rage for Order by Queensryche.
Okay. Wow. That's a really good album. Damn, I haven't heard that album in shit 35 years.
Well, I will say this:
Yeah.
I was listening to it in headphones one time, and I never realized it. But there's a song in there called "New Regale." That's the first song off the second side.
Okay.
If you listen to that in headphones, when he starts singing the melody, they're playing a whole nother song up under that melody. If you listen real hard,
Wow.
once you pick it up, you'll hear it every time.
Okay.
Listen to it on iTunes. You can hear it on iTunes. Listen to it sometime and try it. I just like that because Queensryche, every album they came out with, they were diverse and they could change to whatever they were doing. But Mind
Okay.
Crime, that's my favorite. That's my favorite album.
Okay.
Love it.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I don't know where I met them at. They probably did an in-store before a show. I actually have to send this to you. I met them, all five of them, and I have their all five autographs just on a rectangle sheet of paper. It's in my scrapbook. I'll have to take a picture of it and send that to you.
Yeah.
I must have been in that store. I don't remember.
Please do.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm an autograph hound. This whole room I'm sitting in is back during COVID. I started tracking people down.
Okay.
Just driving, not stalking, but I mean,
Yeah.
I would one day I would take all the members of Hurricane Alice.
Okay. Wow.
And I would try to find if they were in another band or
Which
if they had a website.
Yep.
You know, Bo Nasty, Heaven's
Yep.
Edge. I would try to track these guys down, and you'd be surprised how many people said, "Sure, I'll sign whatever you want me to sign."
Yeah.
And I mailed them so many things, got personalized letters back from Spread Eagle, Banshee, even tracked down the first autograph I ever got was Don Dockett, and it looks like a 4-year-old signed it. I don't even know if he signed it or not, but still, I kept it. But just like right here, I've got Ken Murray from House of Lords. I've got the lead singer of Bang Tango. I've got the drummer for Sweet FA right here. I've got the guitar player for Icon, Tracy Wallach.
Okay. Wow.
I'm an icon. I'm an autograph. That's what started me out. And then when I started on Instagram, if you look when I first started, it was just taking pictures of the autographs I had.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, then I started just posting a picture of the album cover and a song I liked. But a lot of those lesser known bands, they're not on iTunes, but they're on YouTube.
Yeah.
So now my thing is videos and whatever I can arrange in there, because it's like I talked to Sam from Midnight Devils this morning. I said, I want this music to keep going for more generations.
Yeah.
I want younger people to accept this music and see what it was and realize, like what you just said, how great it was to grow up in the 80s. You were more fortunate than me because, dude, you were right in the middle of the Sunset Strip, handing out flyers, going into clubs, and I envy you for that. Not in a bad envy, but that's you got great memories and something I always wanted to do. But I can hear you and live through it through you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think the personality, like the happy, the thankful, it's like the I don't want to say hyper, like what it was like back then. That's kind of like, that's kind of why I am the way I am, just because I'm like a reflection of just the really good times and just devil may care, attitude, and like, this is gonna I'm gonna live forever, whatever. I'm gonna do this, whatever. I'm gonna drink way too much. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna pass out. I'm gonna wake up, do it all over again.
But it was the 80s is like me and my wife were talking. The 80s, it was innocent fun.
I wouldn't say innocent.
Well, but I'm just saying, anybody can get in trouble. You can get in trouble at the grocery store when you're 16 if you really want to. I'm just saying.
Yep.
I'm just saying, but it's not the crap that goes on in the world today. You got a flyer, you tore the ticket off, you stood in line, you saw this band play. Well, let's go down to the Troubadour and we'll such and such is playing in. That it was about music and big hair and ripped blue jeans and makeup and it was just the 80s were just such. Well, we live in a different decade now.
Yeah, it definitely was a community with the bands. It was very competitive. I mean, because there was in the 80s, like in the mid to late 80s, you had the guitarist was still around, Roxy was still around, Whiskey was still around. In the early 80s, you had the Central. It's now the Viper Room. The Troubadour still around, but so you had all these bands that were essentially all these clubs that were centrally located. People going left and right. The clubs were full, so people would hang out outside the club while the sidewalks would get full. So you'd actually come out in the street. That's why the LAPD came in the 90s, tried to clean it up. But within the fans, it was such a community, and we all loved each other. We'll never see it again.
No, you won't.
No, we'll never see. I mean, they can, the Roxy, the Rainbow, the Whiskey. I mean, they're protected venues. They're not going anywhere.
Right.
Guitarist is gone. Starwood's gone. Been gone a long time, thanks to Eddie Nash. Troubadour's still there. Viper Room still there for now, which we've been hearing for the last couple of years that it's going to be demolished. There's a kick-ass show this coming Saturday. It's 4 bands are getting together for a reunion. Blackboard Jungle, Swinging Thing, Glamour Punks, and there's another band.
Swinging.
But yeah, it's just nice. Oh, they were phenomenal.
I remember them.
The scene in the 90s, early 90s was so much fun. This was Pearl Jam, Nirvana had taken over, but there were still some really kick-ass bands that were playing. Swinging Thing, Alley Cat Scratch, Slamhound, which had Josh Todd before he got Buck Cherry. So many kick-ass bands that were playing. One of my favorite bands, Shake the Faith, they were fucking awesome. They probably should have made it. Man, 5 years earlier, dude, they would have been fucking stars. They were so good. Jones Street, they were cool. There was just so many cool bands, at that scene at the time that were just keeping it going, against the rules of the universe, but they kept it going.
There's some bands that I've actually posted, and it was 90, 91. Hair metal's going out, but they were still trying to do it.
Yep.
Great stuff, but they didn't have a chance in hell of getting anywhere.
No.
And they just an album, and then it was over with. So,
yeah. Really good bands. I mean, Swinging Thing probably had a really good shot just because they had like really catchy songs.
Mm-hmm.
Shake the Faith had a good shot. They had some really they were so fucking good. Really cool songs. I could hear them on the radio. I could definitely hear them on the radio back then, but the PDs were on a whole different trip, and they were told this is a new thing coming from Seattle, and get with it. It's up to us to keep this going and to share the stories and to keep this not really the music alive, but the experience alive.
Right. Exactly.
Unfortunately, towards the end of the interview with Justin, we had a technicality and lost connection. We were not able to record and finish the interview. I thought it would be cool to play one of the band's songs in case you haven't heard Cruella D'Vil before. So here for you is Can You Please Me? I want to thank Justin for taking the time to talk with us today. He has many great stories to tell about hanging out on the Sunset Strip in the 80s, the clubs, and the entire atmosphere. I think it's great that his family, and especially his Aunt Althea, encouraged him to pursue his passion for music. Justin is a very determined man in his goal to make Cruella D'Vil a national name. Good luck to you, my friend, and Godspeed. Until next podcast, my friends, so long, take care of yourselves, and God bless you all.